Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer board game review. Today's game up on the tabletop is called Lisboa, a game by Vital Lacerda, and it is for 2 to 4 players. It's made by Eagle Griffin Games, and it takes about 2 hours to play, ages 13 and up. In the game Lisboa, you're going to be playing as nobles who have survived earthquakes, tsunamis, and 3 days with a fire in the city of Lisboa. Lisboa has now been crumbled and is left into a bunch of ruins, and the remaining nobles who have survived the fire, which are you and your opponents, are going to try and rebuild with the help of the city's architects. In order to do so, you're going to need to be working with the architects as well as other nobles and gaining their respect, as well as clearing off rubble, building new parts of the city, and continuing through the game for 30 or so years. There's 2 rounds of the game, and they each take place over a number of turns in which you're trying to clear enough rubble to obtain more and more goods. After you've done so, after the 2 rounds are over, you're going to see who has the most based on a victory point track, and whoever has the most of those points is the winner of the game. Alright, that's a basic idea of Lisboa. Let me go ahead and show you the components and the layout of the entire game. Okay, so here we have the first half of the section of Lisboa we're going to be talking about. We'll be discussing the player boards, what you're going to be getting, as well as this side of the board as far as what you put down and how you're putting them down. Now the first thing is there's 2 different types of cards to start with the first round, and it's going to be the blue and the red over here. With the red, you're going to simply look on the back and put them down based on the corresponding symbol in each of the 4 different areas, so have 4 different categories. Then you're also going to take the blue deck here, and you're going to give every single player 5 cards to start with. After you've done that, you're going to take away the rest of the blue cards, and they're not going to be needed for the rest of the game. Also, you're going to go ahead and start with the player board. So let's look what we have here. First, you're going to be given buildings, as well as these little things that indicate that you've cleared rows of rubble, as well as little characters here you'll be using throughout the game. Now, obviously, this is just to show you what they look like. They're not always going to be placed here to begin with, but you're going to be using those nonetheless. Everybody's going to get 2 resources of each of the different types, as well as a randomly allotted one of these guys. You're going to take all of these favor tokens, shuffle them up face down, give everybody 1, and then return all the rest here. So there's 2 for each of these guys, and sometimes you might have the same players with the same ones. Also, one of these as well you're going to be getting as well, and you're going to just place it down over there to start with. You're going to be getting 2 of these Cardinal Pieces, which is tracked up over here, and the rest of them are going to be in this little baggie here as you collect them throughout the game. And you're also going to give 1 player the starting token. Finally, you're going to be giving every player 10 pieces of gold, and as you notice, there's going to be single pieces of gold like this one over here, as well as 5 and even 10 stacks. Finally, let's go over to the board now. Alright, so first of all, you can see this little influence tracker here. You're going to start it at the 0 marker here, and it'll go up and down based on things that you do throughout the game. You're going to be giving the first player their marker on this little track here, and then the second, third, and fourth player over here. So as you can see, the longer it takes for your turn to happen, the more you're going to start with over here. You have 2 influence tokens for each of these different nobles, as well as everybody is going to put one of their little characters over here that they will use throughout the game to try and take an action that somebody else is taken. They can kind of jump on and piggyback off of an action. They only get 1 though. Also, you're going to have the Cardinal, and you're going to go ahead and place him right here to start with, as well as 6 of the Cardinal tiles here that you're going to place down, which is cool because as you go and collect these little tiles here, you're going to replace them with new ones in the bag, so just like there. And also, finally, on this side of the board, you're going to have the wigs here, and everybody starts at 5 points, and you're going to go across the board as you go along to gain points here, and everybody starts here. And you're also going to be having all of the resources here in a little pile for people to take. And finally, on this side, you're going to be having the purple, which is the cards you're going to be dealt with in the second round of the game, 5 cards. And then the brown, which is the cards you're going to be placing here based on the symbology. All right, let's go ahead and take a look on the other side. Okay, so now we're on the other portion of the board, and as you can see, it's a really big game. You've got this rubble bag here, which you're going to be taking out different pieces. You put all the rubble in this bag and take them out and start placing them on all of these spots over here. Once you've gone ahead and done that, you're not going to need that anymore. The spots are located down here, on the side over here, on top, and on the other left-hand side. And as you can see, there's 2, 3, and 2 all the way across, and 3 up here, and 2 up here. So also, when you're having a 2-player game, you're going to go ahead and take this piece here and place it like that. But if it's 3 or 4, you take this off, and you can add the extra rubble indicating on these slots right there. Not only that, but you're also going to have ships, as you can see. There's red and blue, and just like the cards in the game, you're going to start with these 2 and put the purple and the brown ones over here off away for the second round of the game. I guess you could just leave them if you wanted to, but you're also only going to have the number of players -1 for each type of ship. Now, also, you're going to have these little trade good values over here, and it's going to be indicated based on the symbology, as you can see. And for reference, it's going to cost a certain amount to remove certain pieces of rubble. The blue one is 1, red is 2, and the gray is 3 over there. You're also going to be taking these little pieces over here, and you're going to set them up where they are from the lowest value, which is 2, all the way up to 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. It goes up from the lowest to highest value for blue and for green. You're also going to take this larger stack here, and you're going to add them together in the same colors, and then take them apart, separate them in halves to make them equal, and place them right next to them face up so that people can see them. You're going to take one from each and place them over here. These are the ones you can buy, and also you're going to know what are the next ones that are coming up so you can know what is next up on the shopping list. Also, you're going to have these pieces here, and these are building blocks here, which you'll be placing throughout the game. If you go ahead and buy one for yellow, you'll take one and place it on one of the yellow areas, and it has to be adjacent to and connected to this little cut here, the certain color that you're buying from, as well as you have the little blue ones over here, which will be indicated that you can put it on this thing over here, on the side over here, so you can see it. Oh, not a big deal, right? And finally, but last but not least, you want to make sure that you take all of these extra stuff here. There's a ton of extra stuff in the game. Like this bag here is going to be used for randomization if you want, throughout for more advanced versions of the game, as well as there's a new player deck, which will help increase the odds of a newer player having a better chance at winning. You get a bunch of spare parts, which is nice, so if you lose any pieces, here they are. Here's for 2, 3, and 4 players, extra little pieces that come with it, as well as there's 3 additional player boards, as you can see, really big, a lot of stuff going on. And you're going to be getting player reference sheets. There's 4 of them, 1 for each player, and they're basically booklets that comes with a very large rule book to explain how the game has worked. And finally, over here in the corner is a deck of these little cards here, in which you're going to be taking them, shuffling them up, and dealing 1 down at a time per each of these spaces on this board. Okay, so now you know the basic setup of the game, as well as the board and all the content you're going to be getting with Lisboa. Also, they're going to give you this little player handbook. It's really nice because it has a rule summary as well as a turn reference sheet that's going to tell you how to go about the game. First thing is, play any card in your portfolio. So you can play a noble card or a treasury card, whether being up or down into your little portfolio area. As well, or instead of, you can actually play a noble card in the court, a treasury card in the court, or you can discard a card as a last resort. After you're done with that, you get to do A, B, C, D, and E, depending on which ones you're going to choose from, and they could range from taking a new card, selling goods, moving your courier to a card, visiting a noble, and spending influence, as well as paying a treasury value. So there's quite a few different things you can do in the game. But anyway, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like and how you would go about doing that on your turn. Okay, so we understand the basic actions. We can go ahead and show you on the board how that actually is going to work. So this is going to be the yellow player, and he's going to get his 5 cards here, and he can look through them on his turn. If he starts first, he's going to be over here on his influence track, and everybody else who's next in line is going to be past that. But he's got cards to use, and you can tell the different types of cards here by the noble and treasury. This is the noble symbol, and this is the treasury symbol up here. So if you want, here's a couple actions. The first thing is the noble goes up here, or it can go up here. The treasury card can go down here, or it can go up here. The last thing you can do as well is simply take a gold, and you can do some selling and all that kind of stuff, and then draw a new card. After every action, though, you're going to be, after every time you do one of these actions, you're going to be drawing one of these cards here, no matter what, though. So, for instance, if I go to play this card, and I want to play it up top here, I would get to take whatever action or whatever thing is up here. That could give me a specific rubble or whatever it is. And also, if I were to play it up here, I would then be doing something based on influence, and it's going to be based on the character in which you're playing this on. So playing this here is going to influence him. I'm going to have to spend a certain amount of influence based on the number of characters here that are not mine. So these 2 here would be 2. This location over here is going to be kind of like the overfill area. So whenever you have a certain amount that you can't place, you have to put all the guys who have the most back into this area over here. And the same goes for all these other areas as well. So the 2 influence, I just simply move this track down, and that would be to pay for the influence. And you're going to gain influence in different ways. Also, you're then going to be able to do his action as well as one of his secondary actions. And every single one of these guys here has their own basic action as well as secondaries. whenever you play cards, for instance, over here or over here, you're also going to be able to take these little secondary actions as well, but you're not going to be able to take the main ones unless you're placing the cards up here. So those are the basic aspects of play. Obviously, depending on where you're going to place the card is how you're going to be gaining different things. Like, for instance, putting this guy up here is going to give you that amount of treasury, but it's also going to move this guy down. That's what this symbol says. Whereas this guy over here is going to give you a gold piece. And so just depending on how you place them on your treasury. Also to note too, whenever you want to put cards here, it says how many you can place. However, every single time you gain 3 different types of rubble based on the secondary actions from certain guys, you're going to be able to take off this, and it'll give you a +1 to all your bonuses, which is going to increase your amount of played cards in your tableau, as well as your amount of resources. And these are sometimes going to have to paid in order to gain stuff like boats, or to be able to play certain actions throughout the game. Okay, so now I'm going to explain these guys in a little more detail and how this side of the board kind of works. There's a lot to this, so I'm going to break it down as easy as possible. So the first thing, let's take a look at this guy over here and his actions. First of all, there's this one, which is the build action. If you want to build a building over here, you can simply go ahead and put a card up here and have it be this dude, and you can do this action. Now, if you look over here, you're going to see that there's rubble. This is the main rubble area over here for building, and these over here are separate, so don't worry about these right now, just these here. If you want to build here, for instance, you're going to need to, or sorry, right here, for instance, this little spot here, and as you can see, these we're going to place them right there, then you're going to have to deal with rubble here and here. And there's a price point for the rubble. As you can see, the blue ones are worth 1, red are 2, and then the gray, or like, tannish teal or whatever they are, is 3. And so you're going to be spending money equal to the amount of rubble there. So this one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 over here as well, which is 12. You spend 12, you take this and put that there, and you can choose to connect it that way or that way, and you can put it on yellow or you can put it on pink, and then you're going to go ahead and place one of your houses on that location. Taking houses, you have to take them in a certain way, but as you take them, they're going to upgrade slots, and they're going to give you specific benefits throughout the game. Go ahead and look in the rules, and it'll tell you all the different benefits you can gain. This is just a basic understanding of that. Putting the house there is going to lock that space down, and you're also, whenever you place things down on here, you're going to gain the benefit of whatever that is. Whether it be putting 2 guys down, gaining some kind of bonus like a good, or good over here, or good over here, as well as taking cards over here that are going to give you points in the game, provided you can meet them, and money as well. So now I'm going on to over here. So this is going to let you put 2 of your couriers, or dudes over here, and you can put them here, 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 in any combination that you want, and that will make your opponents have to spend more or less favor depending on how you put them. And so that's one thing. And then this over here is going to be where you're going to be buying these guys over here. And so when you put your guy over here, you're going to select either the blue or the green, and you're going to pick it up and you're going to put it over here on this mat, and that will allow you, for later use, to get these guys over here. So we'll move on. Then we've got this over here. This lets you buy ships, and basically it's going to cost a certain amount depending on the ship you get. And the deeper you go, like the first round is going to be these 2, and the second round will be these 2 types of ships, and it's based on the number of players. But the further on you go, the more expensive they're going to cost, but they're going to give you more benefits. This row up here is going to define your different goods and stuff like that you're going to be carrying with your ships. And so we move on to this one over here, which is going to be where we focus on producing goods. So as you can see, if you go ahead and select the space here, you're going to be producing goods. It's going to be based on your buildings. Whenever you produce goods though, for instance, if you produce goods for these guys here, you would simply look, and it's going to say, okay, here's one for teal, and he would get goods there, and then you've got one for pink. And so you gain those goods, and then you would have to move these things down. When you move them down, they're locked forever, and the price point goes down when you create goods like that. Also, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this one over here. And this one over here will allow you to pick up a card over here. These cards are useful for the end of the game. They're going to allow you to score wigs. So for instance, if you have the most or tied for the most amount of this cloth over here, you're going to get 5 wigs, which is victory points along this track over here. So that's one way of scoring points. This thing over here is going to be the little, I guess you call them a cardinal space. And when you go ahead and choose this secondary action, you can move him 1 or 2 spaces. After you do that, you can select one of these spaces over here. here adjacent to him. So if I move here, I select one of these two. If I move here, I select one of these two. And I can pick one of these up and put it into my board. These all have different references as to what they do. They kind of special benefits for you only as you go throughout the game. And once you pick one up, so if I move 2 spaces, I could select this and put this on my board and it'll give me some benefit. And then I would take one of these guys here from the bag randomly and place it down. That'll give me a new action. Now, if another person on another turn went to move this character over here, this will increase this space whenever it gets to this location over here. And whenever it comes back around to over here, then that is when somebody can turn one of these guys over and gain points, wigs, equal to the value they turned over. They turn it over, they put it back in the bag, and they would gain points equal to that value. So that's another way of getting points. This crown favor will let you take one of these things from another opponent. It'll let you piggyback off of them so that you can do different effects. I talked about that a little bit before, but it'll let you piggyback off them based on the type of favor they do or like the person they use. So that's another aspect of it. This over here is where we get back into this location over here. So this one lets us get these guys here. This one, when we get rid of dudes, so let's say that yellow had 3 guys over here and he wanted to use this blueprint. He could spend 3 guys and bring them back, and he can flip this over as a completed blueprint. He could take then the green one here because it's a green dude. If it was blue, he'd pick blue, and he would get to keep this, and he would put a new one out and just put it right there. And then he would go ahead and select a space to put this down. He could put it down in any location here, here, or based on the color here. And it's going to score points based on how he placed it. So if he placed this here, he'd get these rubble. He'd put them down over here, and he'd place this down. And then he would go ahead and score for yellow, which would be this character here, and this person here would get 3 points. He'd also get the benefit of cloth over here, so that's a nice little additive there. And you could choose to place it up here as well, and you could score for yellow as well. Also, let's say that it was a blue guy that he actually got rid of instead of the green guy. He could actually place this over here if he had done that, and he would score for blue and pink, and it's going to be based on where these notches go. So this notch is going to go to blue or teal, so he would score for this guy, which would give him the 4 points, and then you have this guy over here, and so it tells you 3 points over here. So 5 points and 3 points over here. And so then he would also take these and he'd complete the bonus he gets for placing on this location. So every building can score 3 times. If I want to score for this building, I could score it from here, or from here, or from here, based on where it's facing. If it was facing the other side, it'd be over here. But also remember too, whenever you're building a building, and so like before how I had told you about the building aspect, you can place one of your things here, as well as one of your little houses, and gain the benefit from going up the charts. Also, when you do that and spending the amount for rubble, you're going to be able to remove one of these rubbles and place them over here. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, as you go throughout the game, you're going to be placing down each and every different type of rubble. And if you go ahead and get one of each different type, and as you see they're color-coded, you place them here, you'll gain benefits, and you can take this thing off, and then you get the tableau stuff, and you're also going to get the trade good stuff. So that's just an example. You can do it up to about 4 times before. 2 times will make the second round happen, and then after the second round happens, there's going to be 2 more times. Everybody's going to get their final turns to the first player, and then they get another single round of play. And after that, you can tally up the amount of points for the wigs and any bonus points via the cards you get. Now, that's a basic idea of how to play this game. There's a ton of stuff in it. There's a ton of different aspects to the rulebook that I couldn't explain because there's just so much. If you take a look here, these are all the different types of political cards. This is literally the player reference sheet. So this will tell you the different clergy tiles, numbering 1 through 37, and then how to use each of these different aspects, as well as just all the different kind of explanations. This is kind of a nice little small rulebook as well as a player aid. You can almost get through the entire game just understanding this and all the different political cards and all that kind of stuff. But that is the basic idea of the game, Lisboa. Let's go ahead and take it back up. Okay, so that is Lisboa in a nutshell. I probably missed a couple of things, I imagine. I'm sure in the comment section people are going to berate me, but I did my best to get through it as quickly and concisely as possible to give you a good feel of how the game is played. This is not necessarily a walkthrough, so there's plenty of good walkthroughs out there, I'm sure, but hopefully this is enough just to get your feet wet, and using this little player aid guide is going to be a beneficial thing to do. Like I said, there's a bunch of caveats. There's all these different cards do different things, and you can look them up in your player aid. It'll tell you how they work, as well as I didn't go into detail detail on all these cards you're going to get throughout each round. The first round you're going to get this card, the blue and the red. Second round you're going to deal out these purple and put the brown down. It's going to be based on the year. You put them down over here. And also collecting those cards after every turn, you're going to be doing the actions, and then you'll select one of the red cards and put them into your hand. I didn't really explain that either, but it just goes into your hand, and it's considered an extra card throughout the round. You're going to keep going throughout that round until 2 of those spaces are filled up with Rebel, as somebody does that, and then there's one more round, and then you get to the second round, and you rinse and repeat, right? And it's a basic aspect of just understanding that there's a lot of options in this game, and how you're going to place matters, and how you're going to be scoring points. Obviously, Wigs is the big ticker in this game. Just dropped it. That's alright, whatever. No, but the Wigs is the big ticker in this game. That's really what's most important, is trying to get those points and scoring them via, there's tons and tons of different ways. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea. Nevertheless, let me tell you what I think about the game. Well, first of all, this game is a monster. The rules are a monster. It took a lot of time getting through and understanding how they worked and the complexities of all the different pieces. And as you can see, even me still trying to explain the game is just like, it's mind-boggling. But that probably being one of the most negative things about the game. However, the game is rich and beautiful and elegant, and every space has something unique to do. There's a ton of strategy. This is a very thick Euro-style game, and it has a very, very nice aspect to choosing which one of those different aristocrats or nobles that you can be placing cards down. Do you want to put them in your tableau and you only have so many spots? You want to go and get a ship now or later? Now it's cheaper, but later is going to give you more goods to store. Do you want to go ahead and put cards up to to represent the nobles so you can get those main spaces? And those things are really, really good. Building stuff, taking these bonus points throughout the end of the game is going to be super helpful, as well as the ribbon ceremony, which is going to let you get these big, like, special locations instead of just the little buildings. You do feel like you're building the city of Lisboa. Over in the right-hand side of the board, it feels like you're creating those little houses and building little aspects of the game, determining how much rubble you want to get rid of and where you want to get rid of it and how it's going to benefit you. Because it doesn't matter about either the rest of the players. In fact, you're doing your best to make sure they can't build what they want to build. Oh, you want that spice, or oh, you want those tools? I'm not going to help you over there. You're going to have to fend for yourself. Now realize there's not a lot of take that in this game. There is a lot of manipulation that's going to stop players from doing what they want to do. Putting your character, your little couriers in locations on the board here that are going to stop your players from having to use the access of the nobles because they can't afford it based on the favor. And favor is going to go up and down based on the different cards you play and whatnot. And the buildings, when you place buildings down on the board, you're going to get new special abilities. And then there's more special abilities on top of that. They're these cards you're going to get from the Cardinal. And they all have their own unique thing. But if you don't want them and you want wigs instead, you can sell them depending on if the Cardinal's gone around the board enough. So just a ton of content, and it's a huge game. This thing does not fit on most of my tables. I had to specifically get out my Game Anywhere table to fit this thing on there. And yeah, nevertheless though, I had a lot of fun. And I think most of the people who played it enjoyed it as well. It can be very lengthy, it can be very thought-provoking, and it can be very strategic. But all in all, if you like those aspects in a game, Lisboa is definitely going to be one of those for you. And if you do like heavy Euros, this is definitely one to check out for sure. I highly recommend it for those type of players. For me personally, I definitely enjoyed it, and I can see why a ton of other reviewers love this game as well.